evacuation efforts going? Are people heeding these warnings?
You know, at the coast, it's too late. If you didn't leave, you know, Steinhatchee or Keaton Beach or perhaps Cedar Key, it is far too late. The water's up. It is going to recede slowly, but anybody who needs help in there, it's going to be hours before they can get it. I've covered these types of storms, and it's really tough where you get that surge of 10-plus feet. Around here, we've seen some high-profile vehicles making their way through with rescue kind of areas, but we haven't seen anybody in it. So it doesn't appear that anyone, at least around here, has needed rescue. But if you can look over here, a lot of the businesses and stores did get ready with sandbagging, and I think it helped a lot of places because the water got up to or into some of the businesses around here, and I'm sure some of the condo buildings as well, because this is such a populated area, all the way down to St. Pete, up to Madeira Beach. And I mean, some of the Horseshoe, you know, way up, Horseshoe Bay was saying gusts upwards of 70, 80 miles per hour, and then they had that big push of water as well.
And we can see those pictures that you just showed us and see cars actually moving through. But how bad is the flooding, and what more can we expect?
Yeah, you know, we're like 120 miles from where the center made landfall, so this is the type of flooding you get that far away. I've been in the eye wall of Cat 4s and 5s and 3s, and we made this graphic a while back because I wanted to emphasize to people how dangerous surge can be. When you get an 8-plus foot surge, you can twist buildings off of their foundation and roll them down the street. I've seen it with my own eyes several times. Nearly 5 years ago in Cat 5, Hurricane Michael back in Mexico Beach, Florida, you know, just east of Panama City. And then just last year, Hurricane Ian, when I was right at the end of the Sanibel Causeway, they were taking on water even yesterday from this storm, just less than a year from when they were just slammed with that Category 4 storm.
Yeah, and Ginger, we just saw a car drive right through those floodwaters, which is exactly what you tell people not to do. It is so dangerous. But how much longer could we see this system last?
Right, so down here, I'd say through the afternoon and early evening, if you can avoid travel around the areas that are already flooded, it's only going to go a little up from here when we get closer to high tides, so just beware of that. Tampa Bay area, which is heavily populated. Now my concern really through the afternoon goes into South Carolina, you know, and coastal Georgia, and eventually tonight into North Carolina because of the tropical storm force winds. You can see all of them up to the Outer Banks, down to Orlando, and the hurricane warning that extends all the way to Hilton Head. Guys.
All right, Ginger Z, right in the thick of it and keeping us informed. Stay safe, friend. We appreciate it. And still to come on GMA3, we head to New Mexico for the story behind an incredible father and son business venture.
It all began when a boy and his dad turned their passion for cool sneakers into a real opportunity. Now business is booming for these two, and there's no stopping them. GMA3 is right back.
Strength that we have as a team. As the governor mentioned, he issued a state of emergency yesterday, which included activation of the State Emergency Operations Plan. Activation of that plan allows us to coordinate state resources more efficiently and operate under the emergency management framework that has worked well during many disasters, again, in the last several years. The State Emergency Operations Center here has also been activated and will be staffed 24 hours a day for the duration of this event to coordinate state response efforts. And current priorities here at the State Emergency Operations Center include support to counties, that's our primary mission, and contingency planning for possible transportation, additional sheltering, supply, and equipment missions. We started conducting county coordination calls Monday to share information and identify any issues. And we've had a robust logistics system to assist local authorities, and that system has been validated again extensively over the last several years. We've only received a few requests so far for support, and that includes sandbags and shelter management. And those have either been filled or are being filled. As the storm moves through South Carolina, residents should keep in mind a few key points. Some of them the governor's already mentioned. Stay tuned to local television and radio stations for emergency information. Heed warnings from local officials. Stay inside well-constructed buildings away from windows and doors. And then do not walk or drive through moving water, and never drive around or move barricades blocking a street. Finally, a reminder is this is not just a coastal event, but much of South Carolina is going to be affected by the impacts of this hurricane over the next 24 to 48 hours. Thanks, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Secretary Christy Hall, Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. The Department of Transportation, in cooperation with a lot of our local partners, have been conducting a lot of prep work over the last several days, cleaning of ditches, cleaning of pipes, just getting ready for the storm as it approaches the state. We've also surged additional resources into the projected areas of impact to be able to quickly respond and recover. That includes additional road crews to help clear any downed trees across the roadways, additional signal repair crews into the areas, SHIP, additional units to help motorists along our interstate routes to move through the area. We are ready to respond very quickly and produce a very effective recovery on the flip side. I would like to argue or I guess emphasize the same points the governor mentioned as well, and that is if you don't need to be on the road, stay off of the highways. We do expect some flooding of the roads as the storm moves through the state, and then once we get into Thursday and the storm has exited the state, just be on the lookout. Be safe as you travel throughout the state, and watch out for not only the road crews that are working on the recovery, but all the other first responders. Governor, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Director Edwards.
Thank you, Governor. As has been shared by the Governor and Secretary Hall, we are expecting power outages due to the storm. Statewide, we anticipate that number could be around 200,000. Restoration efforts cannot begin until the winds have died down. So restoration efforts would begin once winds are consistently below 35 miles per hour. I would also point, just because of the timing of the storm, obviously the utility crews will be out there in daylight, but they cannot operate at night. Just a few reminders. As has been mentioned, you could encounter down power lines. If you do encounter a down power line, please report it to your utility, but stay away from any down power lines. And also, do as well, if you have an outage, don't just assume that your outage, the utility knows of it. Do report any outages, and if you have the ability to use, our utilities have apps. So if you have the ability to use an app, do report that outage. If you are a consumer that has medical needs and need consistent power, do locate to an area outside of the storm so that you can have consistent power service. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Director Leach.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Our mass care team and county partners have been working closely with counties being affected. We are working to anticipate the needs for shelters for our populations displaced by this event. Currently, South Carolina has 1 open shelter in Charleston County, 2 in Williamsburg County, and 1 in Jasper County. Likely, there will be additional shelters opening over the next 24 hours. So please check with your local emergency managers or www.scemd.org or download the SC Emergency Manager app to find one near you. We recommend that anyone who needs a shelter bring blankets, sleeping bags, pillows, personal hygiene products, medications, and any special food if you're on a restricted diet. We have partners supplying food and water at all operating shelters. And again, our shelter information can be found at scemd.org. Shelter staff are available to assist with coordinating accommodations and support for persons with functional and access needs. Some shelters are pet friendly, but staff at all shelters will be prepared to assist residents in identifying local resources to care for pets. And if you are an individual in need of sheltering and have an electricity dependency due to a medical condition, you can call the DHEC care line at 1-855-472-3423. Thank you. If you are an individual in need of sheltering and have electricity dependency due to a medical condition, you can call the DHEC care line at 1-855-472-3423.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sewell, DHEC.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. So our teams are actively working to ensure that we minimize any environmental damage from the storm, and also that the health needs of our citizens are being met. As Director Leach just mentioned, if you have a need where you have to have continuous electric power for a healthcare, some kind of healthcare device, please call our care line that is staffed 24/7, so you can call anytime, and we will try to find you a place where you can go where you can get that guaranteed electric supply. In addition, just a couple of cautions. Please do not go out in floodwaters, even if it's not moving. Floodwaters often have toxic substances. They may have sewage, other things in them. They also may have alligators in them in the low country. So, please stay out of the floodwater. You can get quite sick from the floodwater. And obviously, make good choices. Be safe. If you are a dam owner, please make sure that you're monitoring your dam as much as you can do so safely. Lower the level in your reservoir if you need to. And if you have an immediate problem with your dam, call 911, and then also call us at 803-898-1939. We have teams ready to respond to dam emergencies. Again, that number is 803-898-1939. Also, if you live on the coast and you have significant damage from coastal erosion to a structure on the coast, we do ask that you go online to mycoast.org, mycoast.org/SC. You can register there and input information about the damage, give us some pictures. That will help us know where we need to go first to do some damage assessments and work with our local communities to make sure those are being addressed. With that, sir, pending any questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Just a couple of other things. We have been in touch with FEMA. The administrator called yesterday, Ms. Criswell. They have people involved already. They're here. And also President Biden called just a few minutes ago to reaffirm that they were standing by with it, whatever help they could give. And I remind everybody again that this wind and rain is coming right at high tide, it looks like, along the coast. According to my information, Beaufort, high tide will arrive around 9:30. In Charleston, as you go up, is a little early at about 8:30, and Myrtle Beach is about 7:53 is what's predicted for those high tides. And of course, if you get behind the barrier islands on the other side, it's high tides a little bit later. But it looks like this storm is coming through just about at those times. It may be a little earlier, it may be a little later, it may be right on it. It'd be better for all if it were coming at low tide, but it's not. So that gives us reason to know that we're going to have a lot of water in the low countries. Are there any questions for anybody? By anybody?
Are there any concerns about dams in terms of, have there been recent inspections, or are there any that you're concerned about?
So we do have a list of high-risk dams. We did go out and inspect several of the ones that we had the greatest concerns about yesterday. All of them look good. Many of the dam owners had already taken some proactive action. So at this point, we think we're in good shape with regards to any dam emergencies.
Governor, you mentioned yesterday that you and the state have a lot of practice with storms. What has the state done better on disaster response since 2016 to prepare for moments like this?
Well, I think we've had a lot more experience. We've the main thing is the communication, collaboration, and cooperation has gotten a lot better, and that experience with these things, and I guess some of the instruments used to predict things have gotten better as well. But these storms are so strong that you always just have to do everything that you can do. But the main thing is to have the people prepared, and that hadn't changed at all. And that's why we emphasize stay in the house, don't go riding through water, don't go sightseeing, get your information from official sources, and take care of your prescriptions and your papers and your pets, those things that, well, if you have to leave in the dark and with a moment's notice, you need to have those things ready, because you're not going to have time to do that then. And because always and this as well, this time as well, we know we're going to have a lot of power outages, at least for short periods of time. So the best preparation that there is not on the government side, but on the public side. Just need to be aware all these storms are dangerous, and this one is certainly included in that. Any more questions?
With all this water, are there highways, particularly in the low country, that we're already expecting to shut down?
I'll take that one. So it's yes, sir. So it's all the ones that we normally expect to experience problems in a storm like this. So a lot of the causeways to like Edisto and some of the other island communities, of course, the Charleston Peninsula, we often see flooding there even when there's not a storm in the area. So the usual areas that we always expect to see flooding will be there. We continue, just like you all do in the community as well, we continue to monitor the reports coming through the National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center to see what those storm surge forecasts continue to evolve as the storm moves through the state and the rainfall actually occurs. So, but we're ready to go.